And the other thing that I see that's fallen back from years ago is foam rolling. But you have a good bit of section on the book on foam rolling. You have the QR codes of foam roll, different parts there. Um, why are you a proponent of foam rolling?
So there's 3 different ways that we'll use foam rolling and stretching, aka mobility work inside of a pain-free performance plan. The first one is your pre-training prep. Pre-training prep is 1 to 2 minutes of targeted work on some soft tissue tool. It doesn't have to be a foam roller, but that's the most common. And then we'll follow up that region that just got hit with the soft tissue work with some quality mobilizations through an extended range of motion. We use something called the oscillatory technique, which is essentially like a form of controlled dynamic stretching. Again, we're doing 1 to 2 minutes of that. So maybe 3 to 4 total minutes before you go in to train. That is where I'd use soft tissue work and stretching before a training session. But I think the gold, especially for endurance sport athletes, is the mechanisms of recoverability. With doing foam rolling and soft tissue work a little bit differently, doing longer passes, more extended breaths as you're going through, being able to really identify some of those chronic tight spots and pain points, and being able to have that stimulus, that external stimulus into the body, really relax and recover and get us back into a parasympathetic state. Also, I think static stretching is back in terms of recoverability because we have really nice science behind that, especially if we couple soft tissue work and static stretching together. As long as we're in nice prime positions in terms of spinal neutrality or close to neutral, we're not just doing piss poor work. We have the ability to go up and extend some of these stretches 3 to 5 minutes, be able to breathe through them, and again, tap into the parasympathetic state, but also have it be an active recovery mechanism. My endurance sport athletes will have them do this for 10 to 15 minutes every single night when they lay down before bed, or if they're watching Netflix and just chilling out. We'll get a little bit of recoverability work in, but I think the key to make sure that foam rolling and stretching are working properly is that we're managing our breath cycle. We want to be in a parasympathetic state, meaning that we want long inhalations, even longer exhalations, and we want to be in a calm and controlled environment. If we can do that, that is a huge amount of active recovery that we can get in that does not add to the stress load of the entire training week. So it can actually reduce some of the stress load, and that's a beautiful thing, especially when the volumes are flying high.
I seen one of you had a 30-day course or something, and you had different stretches for different body parts each day. And I was looking at, I was doing one of them, and it was like pigeon stretch, and I was like, hang on, does that say a minute on each side? I'm like, my God. And then breathing into it. And of course, I kept it going for 2-3 weeks, felt great. And then for some reason stopped because I'm an idiot runner who felt great.
Free.
I was paying free.
Goal
I
is
was like,
achieved.
mission accomplished. And I'll never deal with that injury again. And of course, it'll happen again to me. So you're saying when you come to your stretches, it's not just like 15, 20 seconds next to a car before you go out for a run. It's a minute, 2 minutes. Do you even say 3 to 5 minutes of deep stretching?
After your sessions. So you have all the time in the world. After training's done, that's the time to recover. So the goal is no longer performance. The goal is recovery. So you can extend the amount of stretches in terms of duration out, and you can hit more spots on the foam roller. You just have more time and more chill mode. But in terms of pre-training prep, we're going 1, maybe 2 minutes on the foam roller, 1, maybe 2 minutes on the stretching. We are not static stretching before any performance sessions, whether it be in the gym or on the road. What we're doing is something called the dynamic oscillatory stretch, which is essentially going on and off end range to try to give an oscillation to get some kinesthetic biofeedback into the system to be able to loosen up some of the tonicity and the localized musculature, but also have the brain-body connection, just like take off that internal parking brake a little bit. We can lubricate the joints, we can prep the musculotendinous junctions, and the body thrives with movement. So even with something like stretching, if you are doing a form of stretching before training, make sure that there's a little bit of a movement base in it.
Is there a sweet spot, John, or what is the science saying? Okay, I finish a run, it's in Ireland, so the probability it's raining is probably 100%. We get into the car because I'm cold, I'm wet, I'm hungry, but have I made a fundamental mistake? Is there a sweet spot where we need to stretch? I know, for example, to balance blood sugars, maybe within 30 minutes, let's take on some fuel after doing a long run. But when it comes to that deep stretching you're talking about and that recovery, is there a sweet spot in time, or is it a case of get home, get showered, relax, And it's your time then in the evening to do it.
In the perfect scenario, you're going to use something called the three-phase cool down. Three-phase cool down is going to be deep diaphragmatic breathing out of a posturally sound position. We like people laying down on their backs. Specific to runners, we put their legs into elevation, something like a bench or a chair. You elevate the feet up. We do that for anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes, and we try to get that heart rate as low as possible. Again, you just got done with a run. You're in a sympathetic drive. We want to get out of that sympathetic red line drive as fast as possible. The best thing that we can do is position our body on the ground contact, and we're able to get the breath reduced in terms of breath per minute. That is something that we'll do. And even if you are in the car, do that. That is the most important thing. All the other stuff can wait. You can get your mobility working and your foam rolling before you go to bed and TV. The compounding effect of doing this thing day in, day out is going to be the big benefit. But I do believe that if you do have the time and it is not raining in Ireland, then you can go 2 to 3 minutes of deep breathing. And then you go 2 to 3 minutes of whatever got pounded in that run. You're like, oh man, my hip flexors are on fire. Let's get the foam roller on those bad boys and continue to breathe deep and get some soft tissue work in. And then do something like a rear foot elevated hip flexor stretch or a half kneeling adductor rock stretch, something that actually mobilizes that area so we can actually start to recover it before the sweat on your face is even dried. So I think that is going to be optimal. But if bare minimums are just make sure you get your heart rate down into a recoverable zone, continue on with your day, and make sure you get a little bit of active recovery work in.